Hello, friend. RG12 here again. As usual, out for a walk with my best mate Rocky. You can see him there. There he is, good lad. So what's been happening there? Well, I've just had a fill-in at the dentist. The numbness is just going off my top lip. Feels like when I used to be a boxer in the army and got a smack in the gob. Fat lip feeling, but it's going off now. So I'm okay. Hope you can hear me all right. If you've listened to the news this morning, you'd have heard about the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, when Donald Trump's name was mentioned, a worthy person to be put forward, I knew he wouldn't get it. No way in a million years. Let's be honest. If Donald Trump stopped planet Earth from being invaded by aliens and saved the whole of humanity, he still wouldn't give him it. Because all these organisations, like the Nobel, like the UN, like the World Health Organization, you name it, they're all run by hand-wringing liberals. So hopefully there will be peace in the Middle East, fingers crossed. Hopefully the hostages will be released. God knows what sort of state they're going to be in, the ones that have survived 2 years of captivity by terrorists. Beggars belief what you're going to be like mentally. Their struggle is only just beginning when they get released, but thank God they are being released. And at least those that have died can be given a funeral and the paid respects what they deserve. And then we've also got, obviously, the Ukraine war. So one thing you can't say about Donald Trump, President Trump, is he hasn't tried. Of course he has. What did, if people know, please tell me in the comments, what did Barack Obama get the Nobel Peace Prize for? I have no clue. I think the only reason people negotiate is because they respect or even fear the people they're negotiating with. Take the Iranians. If Biden was still in charge, they'd still be calling the shots, they'd still be firing missiles into Israel. President Trump launched an attack on Iran. An incredible attack. In and out, no casualties, he wasn't even seen. There isn't an air force in the world that could carry out a raid like that, apart from the United States. The technology, the weapon systems they've got. That put the Iranian regime back in its box. And it knew it didn't have any choice, because all they understand is strength. It's a bit like having neighbours that are horrendous, causing you absolute mayhem, noise, abuse, threats. If you go around and appear weak or ignore it, they'll carry on. If they think you're going to give them a good hiding and they fear you, they'll stop. That's the same with governments. Weakness is jumped upon and exploited. Biden's government was weak. And terrorist groups around the world took advantage of it, like the Taliban. Don't get me started on that. All those people that lost their lives fighting against the Taliban. And that's not to say about the ones that lost limbs, blinded, only for Biden to withdraw and hand all that weaponry over to the Taliban, who now have it all. incredible, appalling, to be honest. It depends what side of the fence you are. If you're lefty, you'll think it's fantastic. But common sense dictates that it's not. Another overcast, drizzly day today in South Cumbria, North West England. Looking forward to tomorrow night because it's a Super League Grand Final rugby league game between Wigan Warriors and Hull Kingston Rovers. So when I go and watch rugby, my local team, it takes your mind off all the woes of the world for a little bit. I enjoy watching that. Good luck to whoever wins it. I'm sure Old Trafford will be full of angry white middle-aged men who are proud of their country. I was going to say probably Mr. Neville wished he'd never said what he did, but I don't think he cares. People like him, probably loves it. He loves being the hero of the left. But even his own football team despise him. And yeah, he's entitled to his opinion. So are we. We're allowed to come back, a rebuttal, as long as it's within the bounds. Doesn't cross it. I mean, I was just looking on X this morning, and some of these lefties threatening these lads putting the flags up, threatening them with serious harm. But nothing will happen. The police won't act on that. The two-tierness carries on. That's where we're at in this country. I was just thinking, I know there's not many of you watch these videos that I do, and I'm grateful to the ones that do, believe me. But I'm just wondering if I should maybe do two or maybe 3 uploads a week. Might make it a bit more interesting. See what people think. If you've got a view on it, a sensible view, please leave it in the comments. I know a lot of people that I follow on YouTube, some of them just upload once a week, and I still watch it, some a couple of times. Some people do upload every day, but I think few and far between. And plus, if you do need to say something quickly or to get to the point, you could do a short as well. Strange, really. You could do something stupid with a short, and it can get thousands and thousands of views. You could spend an hour or so talking like I am to you now and get a handful of views. But that's the way it is. That's the nature of the beast. That's YouTube for you. And obviously the majority of people that watch stuff don't like, subscribe or share or do anything. But that's just a fact. That's not me complaining about the situation. That's how it is. And like I mentioned yesterday, best just getting on with it and not thinking too deeply and worrying about stuff. I mean, I can understand people that are monetised, they want to keep pumping it out as well because they get the adverts and the revenue. But for myself, it really generally is for a mental health, which is in focus today a lot because of the mental health. In fact, the next king was on the news this morning, William. he was talking to a young woman who, horrific story, but it showed William's humanity when this woman, she lost a baby, a child, and then straight after she lost her husband through suicide, which brought tears to William's eyes, rightly so. You'd have to be a machine not to be affected by that. And that's what I've said about some people that say that don't have a clue, people that have never been in an environment like the military or war, where they've seen people's lives lost and had to take lives. They come out with flippant things like, it's your job, isn't it, to get on with it. Now, I personally would rather have had the mental health problems that I've had, PTSD, after witnessing horrific events, because, in my opinion, it proves that I have humanity and feelings. A psychopath could go out and take life, watch a film, have a meal and go to bed and sleep like a baby, because they're inhuman. People that suffer from PTSD, mental health from trauma, are very human indeed. So from that point of view, yeah, it was my job, but it's affected me. And I hope you understand what I mean by that. So it's coming up to the weekend, Saturday tomorrow. I'd like to think that some people would give the peace process in the Middle East a chance and not inflame tensions by marching. But I don't think so. I think it's going to carry on in the United Kingdom, because we've got a weak government, an appeasing government that will allow it. Everybody has a right to protest. But if they're not fighting now, give it a chance. Because if they don't, and we still see these slogans against Jewish people, that's what it's purely down to. It's a hatred of Jews, and it's wrong. That's all I want to say on that point. Just give it a rest. Leave your sticks. Leave your process at home for once. You'll feel better for it. But who am I? I'm a nothing, am I? And they'd be offended by me even suggesting it. And yet those same people froth at the mouth at people putting Union Jacks on lampposts or the houses, because they want it all their way, like spoilt children. It doesn't work like that. We'll have our say. We're the majority, actually, but a quiet majority. They're the noisy minority. The left will just shout you down and shout racist, but as I've said before, the racist slogan and slurs mean nothing. I'm the son of an immigrant. My father came here to the UK to work in the shipyard. Never took one single penny in benefits till the day he died. And produced me, a son, who fought for this country. And I want to thank my dad for giving me the opportunity and the life that I've had. He was a brave man. He actually wanted to move from Ireland to Australia. My mother, it's like saying now, let's move to Mars or Venus. In them days, in the 1950s, she was adamant she wasn't going to Australia, so she settled for England, because that's just a ferry journey across the sea. Because in them days, I can tell you, my parents were never in an aeroplane. They never flew once. My mother never drove. My dad didn't. I never saw my dad drive. My dad used to have a motorbike when he was a young lad, and it stopped me having one. And what he tells me is he was driving. He had a Norton Commando, apparently. He was riding around the lanes in Ireland, in the countryside, and he hit a sheep and flew through the dike into the field and was seriously injured. And that put him off riding motorbikes. And as soon as I ever mentioned it, he said, "No, you're not having one." And that was it. And for one thing, I did take his advice. Amazingly, yeah. Because another thing he told me was to get a trade. Because I'd joined the Army Cadets, I was sold on it, being a soldier from the age of probably 13, 12, 13, 14, around them years, the cadets. So I'd made my mind up. And I joined the Army and didn't get a trade. And that's it. My life was always mapped out to be like that. And I'm so glad that my son is now getting a trade as an electrician, which Grandad would be really proud of him. As am I very proud of him. And that generation didn't show emotion at all, really, in them days. The day I came back from the Falklands, came home, I walked through the front door. My mother was overjoyed to see me. My dad sat in a chair watching the racing or something. And he just looked up and said, "All right," nodded. And at the time I was quite disappointed and thought, wow, you could have made a bit more effort. And it did annoy me for a while. And thinking back on it now, he was proud and happy and glad to see me. And he asked me once about my medal, the Falklands medal, and he asked if he could take it to his work, his factory. I gave him it and he took it in. So that proves that he was proud, wasn't he, of what his son had achieved. I'll always remember what he used to say about, he told me, never get involved in politics and religion, son. And that's another thing I didn't take any notice, did I? Difficult. And the troubles in Ireland, although nowhere near as bad, but there'll always be sectarianism and hatred between communities and religions. His words were, there'll always be trouble there as long as people have a hole in their arse. Spoken in a broad Dublin accent. A man that would finish work, go to the pub, maybe drink up to 7-8 pints a night. Never ever get up late for work, never miss work. He told me, he said, "Son, you miss work through drink, it's the dearest pint you ever bought." So he was conscientious in that way. He had his faults, and who didn't? We all have our faults. I'm a hypocrite. Most of us are. We say one thing, do another. A lot of people are two-faced. People look at you, say one thing to your face, another behind your back. That's human nature. But the older I've got, the more I've valued myself over friends, so-called friends, who aren't really friends, they're just users. people do have a good friend. They're very lucky. I've got one sister that I haven't spoken to for over probably 30 years, which is a shame. And I always wished I had one brother, a brother that I could go have a pint with and go and watch the rugby or the football. But it wasn't for me. Some people have massive families, and I didn't, which is unusual for an Irish family. But I can remember one occasion I was ready to go from the junior school to the senior school, and I put my name down to go to a school called Dowdale's, which is Church of England school. One night, tea time-ish, the priest came up. I couldn't believe it. It was actually quite frightening, because he looked like Batman with his cape and everything. Big imposing man. And he was basically putting my father under pressure for me to attend a Catholic school. And I remember him saying, the priest said to me, "Dad, how many children have you got?" My dad said 2. And the priest said, "Well, that's not enough. You need to have some more." And my dad said, "Are you going to feed them and clothe them?" He wasn't a big fan of religion, because I think when he was a kid, he was taught by what they were called the Christian Brothers in Dublin. And he never said anything about being sexually abused, but then he's not going to tell his son about that, is he? But he told me that he was physically abused, beaten, punched, kicked by these so-called Christian brothers. And then he went on, his own father used to lash him with a belt till his back was bleeding. And that's why he never hit me. He never hit me once. The only thing I can remember, I deserved it. I think we were throwing snowballs when we were kids, and I ended up breaking a window. I think he slapped me a bottom, slapped my ass, sent me to bed, and that was it. And I deserved it, yeah. But he didn't want me to suffer the same. So I take a lot from my father, what he taught me. He instilled a lot in me. Because I never had any brothers, I had to fight all my own battles. If somebody had a go at me at school, I fought back, then I beat him in a fight. I had to fight the bigger brother then, didn't I? But I tell you what, it set me up perfectly for the military. Because when I was a kid, I went 3 nights a week on my own into the town in Barrow on a bus after school to learn how to box. And I still do boxing training today. It put me in brilliant stead. So I can look after myself in the army. The bullies, the NCOs, the thuggish ones, they knew the ones that would fight back. They weren't going to be humiliated by someone, so they left you alone and picked on the weaker lads. That's what life's like. As I was going back to what I said about Donald Trump and Iran and Hamas, if you're weak, they'll bully you, they'll pick on you, they'll drive you into the ground. Stand up for yourself, and that includes countries. So, I've probably gone on too much now, but I hope you found it of interest. If you are watching this for the first time, I hope you liked it, and please consider subscribing, at least liking, or even sharing. So for now, have a wonderful time. God bless. RG12 out.